crafting journey here, that journey chick on Instagram. Welcome to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily. I think it's episode 318. I've done 318 episodes. Oh my word. Anyway, please don't forget to hit the like button on your way in or out of the show today. The like button had to spend the day in bed with me yesterday because I was on bed rest. Yeah. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you enjoy the content. And don't forget to hit the notification bell because you never know when I might do some kind of a pop-up thing. Yeah. And you never know when this show goes live. The show goes up because it's a different time every day. Depends on when I get it done. So yeah, after that graduation thing on Sunday, yesterday, my leg looked like a balloon. It was so swollen. So I put ice on it all day and elevated it. And it was like, blood clot was in my mind. Yes, I'm thinking blood clot, but it didn't hurt. My calf didn't hurt. My leg was warm, but I think because it's swollen. So I just rested it. And then today it looks much better. So we'll see what it looks like after I've been sitting up for a little while. And I was supposed to have a doctor's appointment today. I thought I was supposed to have a doctor's appointment today. I looked at the calendar wrong. It's Thursday. What is wrong with my brain? How am I going to go back to work with the brain, like half a brain? Like the scarecrow. Anyway, yesterday during the show and afterwards while I was talking to one of my friends and doing my editing, I did work on this diamond painting that my daughter got me. I finished all of the lettering on this side. You can't hardly tell. It's crystals, white and yellow crystals. And then I did some of it on this side, but I'm not quite done. It's a snack. I haven't done a snack in so long. A snack is what we call a very small diamond painting, something that will take you very little time to finish versus, these ginormous diamond paintings that the companies have been coming out with lately. So I did get some mail. I wanted to show you. I'm going to be playing around with the mail today. Yeah. And it is watercolor related. You're like, what craft is it today? Watercolor. My latest obsession. Watercolor. So I got some palettes. 42 little palettes. Now what is that? Okay, I'll show you. Let me get out my metallics. See how they're all lined up nicely in these little half trays? So this is the palette, but this is the half trays. So I ordered 42 little half trays. And yeah. So why did I order those? Because I bought some paint that's in a tube. And I wanted to, I found on YouTube that you should put them into a half pan and let them dry overnight, and then you can use them from the half pan. So I ordered this. Oh my God, it's Monet. Look, this came with it. It was a set. So it's Monet, and you just open the tin. So you've got a little palette right here if you want to use it, and you put these in here, and it came with these magnets. So you fill the paint into the half palette, then you put a magnet on the bottom, and then you can put the paint inside of it. But here's what I don't understand. Like, I need to label them. How am I going to label these palettes? Or these half pans? Like, I'm going to have to get like a super fine, something, I don't know, permanent marker. Because I'm going to have to put some kind of like a little thing on the side so I know what color's in here. But, yeah. So that's like a project for another time. Because I don't think this is just the magnets. Yeah, this is just the magnets, I think. Well, let me open it. Hold on. I didn't open it. Maybe there's some stuff that you can put the names on it. I doubt it. No, these are just the magnets. Yep. those are just the magnets. That's really cute. So if you put, I love this. So if you take a magnet and stick it to the bottom of the tray, then it sticks in the pan. How clever. Anyway, so that's a little project for another time. Before I do this though, I do have to find a way to come out, and you can lift them up pretty easily. But yeah, I just got to find a way to mark those with the colors that I'm going to put in there. And if you have any ideas, of course, you know I'm always open to suggestions, guys. Put your suggestions in the comments. So what national day is it? Is National Pack Rat Day. Now, yesterday was National Hug a Tree Day, and I asked you guys, what's the tallest tree? So some of you got it right, sequoia, the giant sequoia, and I'll put a picture of the tallest tree. It's in California. Yeah, it's ginormous. Yeah, so the sequoias are pretty tall trees. So if I was a vampire, I could go from tree to tree to tree and get on top of the sequoia and look down on everybody. You know, like Bella and Edward, right? Nope. So I don't think I need the sponge. So I also got, I told you I'm addicted to Christy Rice. She's a YouTuber, watercolor YouTuber. And she says, these are the paints that you need to invest in, that you should really, you know, she says, it's totally worth the investment to get these paints. So I did. And she said they'll last forever. So the color I got, this one, I've even seen other YouTubers use this particular color. These are Daniel Smith extra fine watercolors. This is the Moon Glow, and I'm going to put some on a palette today, and we're going to see what they look like. The Moon Glow. So and then the other color is Bluff Titanium. This one is Payne's Blue Gray. And this one is Cascade Green. Really beautiful green color. But I'll show you what they look like once we, guess we have to open them. So today is National Pack Rat Day. So am I a pack rat? Well, the definition of a pack rat is a person who keeps like all this stuff, but has no value. Like it's never going to be used. They just like to keep it. So I don't consider myself a pack rat. Am I a hoarder? Maybe, but I'm not a pack rat. So, well, maybe I am. I don't know. So here's the thing on Pack Rat Day. You need to go pick one area in your house, a closet, a drawer, and clean it out. Look at everything in there and say, am I ever going to use this again? I did this the other day in the kitchen. I picked a kitchen drawer that, you know, the kitchen drawer where you just throw everything in, just throw all crap in that drawer. Everyone has one of those drawers in their kitchen. And so I decided I'm going to clean out this particular drawer in our kitchen. And it's got, you know, rubber bands and batteries and, all, you know, dead batteries, of course. Well, who put the dead batteries back in the drawer? I don't know. So yeah, clean something out today. Tell me what it is you're going to clean out. Because if you know, you look at some of those objects in the drawer or the closet or whatever it is you're going to clean out, and you know you're never going to use it again, donate it, or throw it out. Get rid of it. Yeah, donate it. Yep, why not? Okay, so I have a crafting and crime story for you today. This is the story of Jessie Bardwell. She is born to Gary Bardwell and his wife. in Pascagoula, Mississippi. Now, I can't spell Pascagoula. So I just, in my notes, I just wrote it out like it sounds. Pascagoula, Mississippi. Yes. I can't wait to try these. And she's a daddy's girl. Like, she just loving on daddy. And I was a daddy's girl too, so I can totally relate. So I'm just going to put a dab of this in each little palette here. And growing up, she would, no matter what, she would call or text her father every day, no matter what she was doing. Her dad says she had a cell phone since the time she was 12 years old. Oh, I need to like put this next to, so I remember what color's what. How about that? Ooh, whoa. Boy, that came out quick. Oh, man. No wonder they want you to put it into a palette. That's going to be a mess. Okay. Payne's Blue Gray. All right, these two I won't have any trouble. So, she's very outgoing. Very adventurous. Ooh, that's a pretty color. Her father says she never met a stranger. And what he meant by that was no matter who was in a room, she would make friends with them. I'm just going to try to get that excess paint off here. Goodness gravy. So she, after she graduates high school, she meets up with this guy. What's his name? Jason. Jason Lowe is his name. So she meets Jason Lowe and falls head over heels for Jason Lowe. I got paint all over me. And right away just packs up, moves to Texas where he lives. Richardson, Texas. And then all of a sudden, like, she just kind of stops communicating with good old dad. And he's like, honey, why aren't you calling or texting anymore? And she's like, well, I'm trying to get away from using the phone so much. You should try it. What? A strange answer. So about 4 months after she has moved to Richardson, Texas, she and Jason come to visit dear old dad. And dad does not like her. Does not like him at all. Does not like this Jason guy. And I don't like, this paint is so thick. Wow. Said he was just kind of just full of bullshit, basically. So he gets with his daughter and he's like, what is the deal? Why don't you just move back home? And she's like, no, Dad, I'm good. There's nothing you can say to convince me to stay here. I'm going to go back and live with Jason. What she doesn't tell her father is that she and Jason were making wedding plans and looking to buy a house. Imagine that. So she goes back to Richardson, Texas. Now, while they're in Richardson, Texas, they make friends with Regina and Tommy Jordan. Jason does some work for them for free, and they become fast friends. And Regina describes Jessie quite differently than her father does. She describes her as very quiet and demure and shy, which is not how her father described her, which I find interesting. So the Jordans ask Jessie and Jason, there's too many J's here, if they will house sit for them. They're going out of town and they want to know if they will do some house sitting for them. And they're like, sure, we'll house sit for you. And so the night before they were supposed to house sit for the Jordans, they go over there and they're watching movies and drinking wine. And the Jordans say, everything seemed fine. They were having a good time. And, nothing out of the ordinary. Meanwhile, back at dear old Dad's house, he has not heard from his daughter in 2 weeks, which now is really, really unusual. So he's like, what is going on here? Haven't heard from my daughter in 2 weeks. So he calls the Richardson Police Department and says, can you go out and do a welfare check on my daughter? And they're like, sure. They go out. And Jason's like, oh, she Sunday, the last time I saw her was Sunday night, which was the night that they were at the home of their friends. That's the last time I saw her. And she took off in her Acura, and I haven't seen her since. So the police are like, okay. So they go and they look up the license plate for this Acura, and they do a vehicle search. And lo and behold, this Acura was sold 2 weeks before this. Jason had sold the Acura to somebody else. And the person that he sold it to had the bill of sale, where he made a down payment, and he had the title, and he was going to make payments to them. And so they go back to Jason, and they knock on his door. Jason. Well, meanwhile, so that, this is the first welfare check. They call the father back, and they tell him, well, she took off. So the father's thinking, okay, so if she doesn't call here for Mother's Day, then I'm going to Texas. So guess what happens? She don't call. Mother's Day comes and goes, no phone call from Jesse. So he gets in his car, he drives 11 hours, 600 miles to Richardson, Texas. Knocks on the door, no answer. So he calls the Richardson Police Department. So, and he says they were all over the case. He's like, they came right out. They started, they had already started an investigation based on the first welfare check. So they start looking for this Acura. They found they found that it had already been sold. So they call Jason on the phone. They find out where he works. They call him. Can we speak to Jason? They put Jason on the phone. Now, Jason is a software engineer salesman. He's got 2 bachelor's degrees, can speak 2 different languages, very intelligent kid. So they call him at work, and they're like, where is she? And he's like, I haven't seen her. And so they're like, well, we want to talk to you. So they go knocking on his door, and he answers the door at his house. And they're like, we know that you sold the Acura. And he's like, well, we lease it, and that guy can come and get it as he please. Like, just total bullshit story. So they ask him, do we have permission? Can we have permission to search your house? He's like, yeah, I don't have nothing to hide here. So they find cocaine. They end up arresting him for the cocaine. And they open the garage door, and there's this foul odor of decaying flesh. Now, the officers recognize this right away because they've smelled it before. And they said, this is like a smell that you just never forget. Once you've smelled it, it's just something you don't forget. I'm playing with the colors here. The green is interesting. It almost fades into like a blue. Very, very pretty, this green. I'm liking it. So they open the garage. They have Jason standing there, and they said Jason was like beside himself. They could see his jaw shivering, shaking, like he was so upset that they were, going through his things and his car and his vehicle. And so he gives them permission. He goes they go in the vehicle, and there's nothing there. But they do end up testing it for DNA, and they do this other test that will detect blood. So the test that they did to detect blood comes back negative. But they explained that because they said a neighbor had seen Jason coming out of that garage with bleach. Now, if he was trying to cover up, blood or clean up blood out of his vehicle with bleach, that would alter the test results of this that they were doing. And the DNA came back inconclusive. Can you believe that? Yep. So they go ahead and arrest Jason for the cocaine. They take him down to the station for an interview where he's acting very suspicious, very somber, he doesn't know where she is or, why she would just disappear, and he has nothing to do with it. And, oh, woe is me, this whole thing. So during this interview, they keep asking him, we know you killed her. And he's like, no, I didn't kill her. And they're like, yes, you did. No, I didn't. And they're like, where's the body? Where's the body? And he's like, I didn't kill her. I don't know where the body is. So oh my goodness, that's an interesting color. Ooh. I don't know where the body is. Catch me if you can. So then he says, I'm not talking no more. So they put him in the jail cell. He hires a lawyer. And meanwhile, there's an anonymous tip of where the body is. So they go out. It's way up in northern Texas. And they find the location of the body, and they dig the body up. She's wrapped in a sheet. She goes to the medical examiner's office. One of the officers said this was the worst body decay he had ever seen, ever. That she had to have been his vehicle for some period of time before being placed or buried out on this property. So the property belonged to this guy named Cowboy, who happened to be a friend of Jason's. And isn't that interesting? The medical examiner does his examination. No, he can't determine the cause of death. There's no blunt force injury on her. There's no gunshots, nothing, She's so badly decayed. When someone's badly decayed, there's a lot of stuff you just can't rule out because of the decay, unfortunately. But nothing obvious to the medical examiner that he can rule this, what the cause of death is, except to say that the manner of death is homicide, based on the fact that she's buried out on this property. So, the prosecutor charges Jason with first-degree murder, and they proceed to get ready for trial. Meanwhile, there's a girl named Christine Chambers. The police find this old report on him, while they're digging through his background. They find an old police report that was filed by Christine Chambers, a former co-worker of his. Well, rather, he was a former co-worker of hers, and I'm going to tell you why. So she gets a job at this software company, and she gets to work with Jason. And you can see how this is going. She's a beautiful girl. He's a gorgeous guy, and pretty soon, they're knee knocking at his house. on a regular basis. So one night she's over there and they get into some kind of an argument and he just loses it. And he had told her on prior occasions, that he's bipolar. So he just kind of loses his temper, grabs her, drags her into the bedroom, throws her to the floor, and starts choking her. To the point where she couldn't get away. She finally lost consciousness. Now, she thinks he probably went to figure out a way to get rid of her body, but when she regains consciousness, he's not there because she thinks he probably thought she was dead, and so he was trying to figure out how to get rid of her. But so she leaves. She runs out of the apartment where they're at. She calls the police, and she was treated so rudely by these police officers. They're like, was it just a fight? Was it a misunderstanding? Like, she's like, no, he choked me. He was trying to kill me. So they arrest him and they take him away. And they don't even offer her a ride home. She had to Uber home. They don't even give her a ride. Oh, terrible. So meanwhile, she gets to work. Now, everybody at work loves Jason. He's very funny. He's, great guy, good looking. She gets to work and everybody's mad at her. What did you do to Jason? He's in jail, and her boss comes out and says, there's two sides to every story. And she just did not feel supported at all. She felt like she was really being blamed for his arrest. And, so she goes down to the station and she drops the charges. She says, if that's the response I got from the police and my coworkers, I'm not going to sit through a trial. And of course, she regretted that she did that. Later on, she thought, could I have saved Jesse's life if I had just let the charges stick? That's kind of the moral of that story there. So meanwhile, the trial commences and Jason takes the stand. So what is Jason's defense? He gets to stand. He takes a stand in his own defense, and he says the night that they went over to their friend's house, the night before they were supposed to house it, they've been drinking wine, they go home, and they take this drug, GHP, which is a date rape drug. But apparently people take it recreationally to enhance their sex life. I did not know this. But, yeah. So this is what happens that night. And they were having sex in the shower. And she hit her head. She hits her head. She loses consciousness. He turns the shower off. She regains consciousness. There doesn't seem to be any injuries. So they dry off. They take some more GHP, go to bed, have more sex, fall asleep. He wakes up the next morning to a knock on his door. So it's his friend Cowboy knocking on the door. So he's like, come on in. And he goes to get Jessie and discovers she's dead. She's in the bed and she's dead. So he's panicking. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Nobody's going to believe me. So Cowboy says, they come up with this grand plan to bury her on Cowboy's property. Yeah. Instead of calling the police or, the hospital, they go bury her on Cowboy's property. So what is the evidence against this guy? He says, if I'm guilty of anything, I'm guilty of criminal negligence for not, notifying authorities, when she died and burying her body. But I didn't kill her. I did not kill her. So, and we know that the test to identify blood in his vehicle is negative. We know that the DNA is inconclusive. We know that the medical examiner can't determine the cause of death. Is a jury going to find this guy guilty or not? I don't know. Pause the video right now, what do you think? Is he guilty? Is he not guilty? Yeah. What do you think? What do you think? All right. Did you come back? Okay. Now I can tell you. The jury finds him guilty. And the judge sentences him to 50 years in prison. Now, the maximum sentence for this is life without the possibility of parole. But the judge gives him 50 years. Now, why is that? Well, as it turns out, Jason was the anonymous tipster because he had reached a deal with the prosecution that if he would tell them where the body was, because the prosecution didn't believe they had a murder case without a body, that they couldn't try Jason without a body. So they made a deal with him. You know, if you, maximum sentence 50 years if you're found guilty, if you tell us where the body is. So he's like, okay, deal. So he tells them where the body is. Which one did I not do? This one. So he tells them where the body is, and that's why he got 50 years in prison. Now, how much does he have to serve of that 50 years? 25. Yep, 25 is the max that he has to serve. You know, with good behavior, he'll be 51 years old when he gets out of prison. So the moral of this murder story is, you know, if you are in a domestic abusive relationship, or someone that's trying to control you, or someone's trying to kill you, you need to, you know, go with your gut and get out of that relationship. If you can, reach out for help. You know, don't drop charges. I'm not saying, you know, that back then it's, I mean, I'm sure that woman felt she was not supported, and I understand her decision. But, you know, it's a different day now. You know, this was back in 2017, 16, 15 when she dropped the charges, 2015. So, you know, this is 2022, Me Too movement. You know, let's not put up with this. If you've been attacked, take these guys to court, guys. Don't drop the charges. Oh my, that's a pretty color. All right, so I need to show you guys these colors. Oh my gosh, they're amazing. They're not quite dry yet. I do want to do one thing. I'm going to play with it for a little bit before I show it to you. So what happened this day in history? Brown versus the Board of Education now is decided. And this was pretty monumental. This little girl, Angela Brown, she wanted to go to a school that was closer to her home, but it was a nice all-white school. But they were like, no, you have to go to another school. There had been a prior Supreme Court decision called Plessy versus Ferguson, where the Supreme Court had decided that, you know, we could be separate but equal. So as long as she was getting the same education in the black school, that's where she should go. But, you know, she wanted to fight this. Her parents wanted to fight this previous ruling. And there's a Supreme Court Justice, Thomas Clarence, who's now a Supreme Court Justice, who took up her cause and represented them in the Brown versus Board of Education trial. Or, I don't know if you call it a trial, Supreme Court hearing. And the court ruled to end segregation. Yeah. They said there was no reason why she should have to go to another school that was farther away. So that basically ended segregation. Thank God. And I had to study this case ad nauseum in law school. Yep, I did. In constitutional law. Let me show you the painting. Let me show you. I have to tape it to the desk so the paper doesn't slide around and it doesn't warp. Oh, I forgot to show you the other thing I got. Oh my gosh. I'll show it to you while this is drying. Oh my gosh. I forgot to show you the most important thing. Holy moly. Okay. A portfolio. Yes. And let me tell you about this portfolio. I got it off of Amazon. All right, so I took the sticker off, and it has 24 pockets, displays 48 pages. It's done well, 11 by 17. So we're going to throw that away. But I put some other stuff in. So I wanted to show you. I love the way, and now I can just put it in here, and it won't warp. You know, once it's dry. Here's my stuff so far. And then I can look and see what my progress is, you know. Look. Yeah, isn't that cool? So, I needed a place to put it all. Yes, I've gone down the rabbit hole. Oh, dear. All right, let's stop. All right, here's what we did today. Here's what I played around with today. Here's these colors. Okay, the moon glow is this bottom one. The bottom one is the moon glow. The next one up is called Payne's Blue Gray. That's this one here, this blue gray. Oh no, these are both moon glow. This is the blue gray right here. Then this one is the Cascade Green. And then the one you can't see, you can't even see it, it's so light, is the Buff Titanium, which is, oh my God, you cannot see it. It's up here. It's the top color of that tube. You can't even see the top color of the tube. It's a very pale off-white. Wow, you can't see it at all because there's some up here and there's some up here. Interesting. So this green is amazing. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I can see some uses for these colors. The forest, that green is like a foresty color. And, oh yeah, very pretty. Okay guys, that is the show for today. Have a great Tuesday and take care. Love you all. Bye.